rebounds better than Turner, and nobody finishes. Oh, but he falls hard on his back.
For 11 and 0 for 9 on 3. And Jabari Parker grabs his left leg.
Like to the floor, pass Siakam.
Took his legs out from under. Victor's hurt.
Down the lane.
Marvin Bagley is on the ground on the other end holding his knee.
Although it's no number one pick, throughout NBA history, the number 2 overall pick has also brought forth basketball legends, including Bill Russell, Jerry West, and Kevin Durant, which is largely expected considering it is the 2nd overall pick after all. However, the 2010 decade saw potentially one of the most unfortunate decades of 2nd overall picks ever. Although there are a few all-star level players in the mix, a majority of 2nd picks last decade have not turned out as expected, and in many cases, far from it. But what exactly happened to these players who were once considered a top 2 pick in their draft class? Welcome to SportsSphere. Let's get into it. In the 2010 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers would have the 2nd overall pick, and after John Wall was picked up at number 1, Philly would draft Evan Turner. Prior to being drafted, Turner was seen as a versatile wing player, capable of doing basically anything on the court. At the 76ers, he would show some promising signs early, and a couple years later, he would even become a starter and would reach his peak on a lackluster Philly team, averaging over 17 points a game. But he would later be traded to Indiana and would soon turn into a rotational player due to the talent already on the contending Pacers roster. And after just a short few months with the Pacers, Turner would join the Boston Celtics, and despite showing some consistency issues, he was still a useful rotation piece for Boston's success in the 2 seasons he played. But he was traded again to the Portland Trail Blazers and would sign a $70 million contract over 4 years, before having a brief stint with the Atlanta Hawks in 2019 before retiring. There's no doubt that Evan Turner had an average NBA career. Despite his versatility, it was his offensive limitations that hindered his overall longevity in the NBA, preventing him from making a significant impact for any team. Derrick Williams, selected as the 2nd overall pick in the 2011 NBA draft behind Kyrie Irving, entered the league with high expectations primarily due to his athleticism. However, soon after entering the league, he would soon prove to struggle heavily with offensive efficiency and a lack of versatility as a player, and it seemed like all he really knew how to do was dunk. After suffering a major injury in his 3rd season, he would then be traded to the Kings to begin his 4th season, and proceed to be passed around the league, later appearing on the Knicks, Heat, Cavs, and the Lakers, before it became obvious his hooping duties were no longer demanded within the NBA by 2018, just 7 years after being drafted. He would later join even overseas teams in the EuroLeague and Turkish leagues. Williams is widely regarded as a draft bust, and his trajectory is reminiscent of the player that was selected 2nd overall in the following season. Like all top picks, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, selected as the 2nd overall pick in the 2012 NBA draft, entered the league with sky-high expectations. But unlike most high picks, it was his defensive skills and versatility that were his team's biggest asset. And that team turned out to be the Charlotte Bobcats, who selected him 2nd overall. His defense quickly proved to be his biggest asset, with his long wingspan, good instincts, and hardworking mentality. However, offensively, it was a different story. See, Kidd-Gilchrist had size, but he wasn't that tall, and he lacked ball skills, so he would often struggle to score in the paint. And as the league began to emphasize 3-point shooting more, Williams' efficiency from the perimeter as a wing player was exposed, where he shot only 27% from deep in his career. Not to mention, you probably know this guy for having one of the ugliest jump shots in NBA history. Regardless, throughout his NBA career, Kidd-Gilchrist averaged 8 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.2 assists per game. After his 8 seasons with Charlotte, he would eventually be waived, and after a brief stint with the Mavericks, he was waived again. Although he proved to be a slightly more valuable asset than Derrick Williams, especially defensively, Kidd-Gilchrist still turned out as a very average NBA player, And for a second overall pick, many would consider him as a bust also. As for the second pick of the 2013 NBA draft, it was a more complicated story. Drafted behind the world-renowned bust Anthony Bennett, Victor Oladipo would be selected by the Magic at number 2. Victor Oladipo would quickly have an impactful rookie season with the Orlando Magic, averaging 13.8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.6 steals per game. He continued to perform well for the Magic in subsequent seasons, but would soon be traded by the Thunder as an asset to acquire Serge Ibaka. After just a year on the Thunder, Oladipo would be traded to the Indiana Pacers, which proved to be the ideal situation for him, where he would quickly have a breakout year in 2017, averaging 23.1 points, 5.2 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and 2.4 steals per game, earning his first NBA All-Star selection and first-team All-Defense honors. However, things would quickly take a turn for the worse.
As Siakam.
They called a foul on Victor. They're going to say he took his legs out from under. Victor's hurt.
Unfortunately, his success was soon cut short by a season-ending leg injury in his second season on the Pacers. Since the injury in early 2019, Oladipo has struggled to maintain consistent health, playing only 102 games over the next 5 seasons. He was then traded to the Miami Heat, then to the Houston Rockets, and back to Miami, where he currently plays. In the 2022-23 season, Oladipo had relatively good health, coming off the bench for the Heat and averaged over 10 points, 3.5 assists, and 1.4 steals. However, still missed the 2023 playoffs due to injury. Although Oladipo is not the player he once was, there's no doubt he can still contribute in a lesser role for NBA teams. Despite facing challenges, Victor Oladipo, a 2-time NBA All-Star, has demonstrated moments of brilliance and has without question had the most successful career among all the number 2 picks mentioned so far. Prior to the 2014 NBA draft, Jabari Parker was known as a dominant force with polished offensive skills and versatility. After being selected by the Bucks second overall, he showed glimpses of immense potential in his rookie season. However, an ACL tear early on would cut it short.
He is 1 for 11 and 0 for 9 on threes. That's an offensive foul. And Jabari Parker grabs his left leg.
After his initial injury, Parker made a promising comeback with a solid season. However, in his third year, amidst a breakout season averaging over 20 points, Parker would suffer the devastating setback of tearing the same ACL as in his rookie season. Ever since that injury, he struggled to regain his form consistently, prompting his trade to the Chicago Bulls, then the Washington Wizards, to the Atlanta Hawks, to the Sacramento Kings, then the Boston Celtics. And in his last 3 seasons, he would play a total of just 31 games. Since 2022, no team has picked him up after being waived from the Celtics, and it's understandable why. His inability to stay healthy has simply diminished his value significantly. Some wonder, how good would Jabari Parker be if he hadn't injured his ACL in his rookie season? I guess we'll never know. Next up, for the 2015 NBA draft. After being selected behind Karl Anthony Towns and drafted by the Lakers, DAngelo Russell was selected as the top guard prospect at number 2. In his rookie season, he showed some early promise. Although he wasn't a standout player, he had respectable stats, averaging 13.2 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game. Soon, DAngelo Russell would be traded to the Brooklyn Nets, a team with a young core and low expectations. However, in his first season with the Nets, D'Lo would suffer a long-term injury, putting him out for a large part of the season. But it was the 2018-19 season when everything would change for the better. The 2018 season would be monumental for not only Russell, but also the Nets' entire franchise. He would average over 21 points, 7 assists, and shoot 37% from 3 on high output. His ability to score on all levels, constantly come in clutch, and get his teammates involved would be his standout qualities. This would later earn him a spot on the All-Star team and bring his team to the 8th place in the East, surpassing all expectations of them. Despite a promising playoff run that gave hope for the future, the Brooklyn Nets traded DAngelo Russell to the Golden State Warriors. After a season with the Warriors, he was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins. In Minnesota, Russell averaged around 18 points and 6.5 assists, but would have lingering injuries, affecting his playing time, and the Wolves sought a better fit and traded him for Mike Conley during the 2023 trade period. Subsequently, Russell would make his long overdue return back to the team that drafted him, the Lakers. While his recent postseason performance wasn't exceptional, he has already demonstrated his capabilities as a top-tier point guard in the league, and with his prime years approaching, don't be surprised if the best of D'Lo is yet to come. In the subsequent year, the Lakers selected Brandon Ingram with the second overall pick in the 2017 NBA draft, due to his offensive skill set being so dynamic. And many fans and analysts made comparisons between Ingram and a number 2 pick in the previous decade, Kevin Durant. Initially facing the challenges of a rookie, Ingram gradually showcased his potential, averaging 9.4 points and 4 rebounds in his first season, and his second season saw significant improvement, averaging 16 points on 47% shooting. However, Ingram was eventually traded to the New Orleans Pelicans as part of a package for Anthony Davis. In New Orleans, Ingram's first season would see him break out and become a star player, later earning the Most Improved Player award in his first All-Star selection, with impressive numbers of 23.8 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Following this season, despite some minor injuries, Ingram proved to be the most reliable scorer on the young Pelicans team, even leading to a respectable playoff campaign in 2022, with a notable 7-game series against the Phoenix Suns. He currently remains the number 1 option for the Pelicans, and his rise to stardom will only continue. For the 3rd season in a row, the Los Angeles Lakers would have the 2nd overall pick again, and this time they would have their eyes on UCLA's Lonzo Ball, who was known for his exceptional passing and basketball IQ, but he was also heavily hyped up by his outspoken father. Despite the media scrutiny, he was still a highly talented prospect. Later selected as the 2nd overall pick by the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2017 NBA draft, Ball seemed to face immense pressure early in his career, however, still showed flashes of his potential during his rookie season. After 2 seasons with the Lakers, he was traded to the New Orleans Pelicans alongside Ingram and continued to develop as a young player, and despite multiple injuries, he would effectively recover and improve his game, particularly improving his shooting. He averaged 14.6 points, nearly 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. And with his newly fixed shooting form, his increased efficiency saw him become an elite shooter from long range. After 2 seasons with the Pelicans, he was traded to the Chicago Bulls, who were in need of a starting point guard. This proved to be the exact fit for Lonzo, and this season saw him play his best basketball, shooting over 42% from 3, as well as 13 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 1.8 steals. But, as we know, this didn't last long. Tragically, Lonzo Ball suffered a severe knee injury in the midpoint of the 2021 season that has kept him out of action ever since. The expected recovery timeline has been repeatedly extended, with recent reports saying he will miss the entire 2023-24 season, prompting many fans to question if he will ever return at all. We all hope that we have not seen the last of Lonzo Ball, as he has a one-of-a-kind game style that we haven't even seen reach his full potential. Selected behind DeAndre Ayton and in front of Luka Doncic, Marvin Bagley III, highly regarded for his athleticism, scoring ability, and rebounding skills, was selected as the 2nd overall pick by the Sacramento Kings in the 2018 NBA draft. He would proceed to have an impressive rookie season, averaging 15 points, 7.6 rebounds in just over 25 minutes. But he would soon begin to face setbacks due to a string of small injuries, starting during the tail end of his rookie year, limiting his games played, and making it difficult to gain momentum in the regular season. After enduring a series of injury-riddled seasons, Marvin Bagley's time with the Sacramento Kings would soon come to an end after 4 years. The Kings, not wanting to deal with his recurring issues, made the decision to trade him to the Detroit Pistons. Despite still limited playing time and still dealing with lingering injuries, Bagley showed glimpses of his potential in the most recent season, providing hope that he could still fulfill his potential if he can stay healthy for an extended period. As for the 2019 NBA draft, although Ja Morant was a zero-star recruit during his senior year in high school, after his 2-year college campaign, his name had grown a massive buzz. His athleticism, finishing ability, passing ability is what stood out the most, and after Memphis drafted him 2nd overall, he would step into the Premier Basketball League and dominate as a rookie. He quickly emerged as one of the league's most electrifying young players, averaging 17.8 points, 7.3 assists, and 4 rebounds per game. After winning Rookie of the Year, the following season saw Morant continue to impress, solidifying his status as a rising star and potential future face of the league. But it was his 3rd season where he took things to the next level. After averaging 19 points in his sophomore season, in his 3rd season, Ja would average 27.4 points on elite efficiency and nearly 7 assists, another impressive jump, earning him the Most Improved Player award. That being said, after signing a max near $200 million contract over the 2022 offseason, Ja's demeanor and attitude towards basketball seemed to have changed. Although he didn't have many on-court issues, it was off the court during the 2022-23 season, where things would go wrong. During the recent season, Ja would be involved in reckless violent allegations, adding to the later questionable Instagram live videos that were broadcasted that we've all seen. Undoubtedly, Ja Morant stands out as the most talented player among the number 2 draft picks mentioned. However, his actions have led to unfortunate circumstances, hindering the full exploration of his talent. With another 25-game suspension looming for the upcoming season, following an 8-game suspension in the previous season, we can only hope that Ja will bounce back better. There you have it. The number 2 overall picks of the 2010s have been disappointing to say the least. Several players on this list are currently dealing with injuries, while others have faded from the NBA scene. However, there are still standout players like Brandon Ingram, Ja Morant, and DAngelo Russell, who possess the potential to become superstars. As for the others less fortunate, we still remain hopeful for the recovery and resurgence of players like Lonzo Ball, Victor Oladipo, and Marvin Bagley. More recent number 2 picks saw James Wiseman, Jalen Green, and Chet Holmgren get drafted. And with injuries plaguing Wiseman and Holmgren so far in their career, we can only hope that this decade will see more fortunate circumstances for the 2nd overall pick than the previous. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching SportsSphere. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.